It's gone well. We're 6-1-1, which is, I think, the best start in the history of the program. So there's not much to argue with there. I do think we can play better than we've been playing. So it's interesting that even though we're having some success, I do think there's more in our team than we've been showing, and we've seen it in little pieces. And what we're trying to find is a consistent 90 minutes, and we're getting closer to that. So I think, as I said, I think it's going pretty well. Honestly, it sounds like a cliche, but we have to focus on one day at a time, and not just one game at a time, but really one day at a time. Whether it's a training session, or we're lifting this morning, or watching video this afternoon, we can't overlook any piece of it, and we can't worry about it, in terms of the whole big picture now. We have to take it step by step. And I think that's why we've done so well, because the team is pretty mature. We've got a lot of older guys that have been here for a long time and have played a lot of minutes, and they've bought into the philosophy that the only way we're going to get anywhere is if we really dig into the day-by-day stuff. And we've been doing that pretty well so far, keeping our focus on what's in front of us and not worried about what's happened behind us and what's going to happen next week. We've got to just go with what we're doing today. The Great Lakes region is the hardest region in the country. I think the #1 ranked team in the country is in this region. The #5 ranked team in the country is in this region. I think there's 5 teams in the top 25 in the country from this region alone. So to be in that mix with those schools is obviously a good sign for our program. But to be in there now means that we just haven't played very many games yet. And we play a couple of the teams that are ahead of us, Michigan and Ohio State and Butler, coming up in the next couple of weeks. So if we can stay in the top 10 in that ranking, that's an accomplishment. We get great goalkeeping always here. It's been a staple since I've gotten here. We've been very fortunate. Ryan Schwartz and Kyle Zobek have been splitting the minutes and have both done very, very well. Wei Ming Wong has been terrific for us. He's a transfer student from SMU that's a junior this year. He's from Hong Kong. He's played in the back and has been unbelievable in terms of organizing and leading and communicating. In the midfield, Chad Solt and Kevin Miller are 2 players that have really grasped the roles that we've given them, and they're really doing well. And then Stefan Antonievich up top has been a dominant force in every game that we've played. And so, it's certainly not, I think one of our greatest strengths as a team is our depth, and we don't rely on any one player, which is nice. But those guys have certainly had good seasons so far. It's a hard league. I mean, I would anticipate we're going to see maybe one team kind of at the top of it, whether it's Butler or somebody else, and then you're going to see a lot of teams that are like 4-4 or some variation of about 500. I think it's that competitive of a league. There's certainly not a day off in the league. From top to bottom, it's probably one of the most competitive leagues I can think of in the country. Every team is a battle. Everybody brings a unique set of circumstances, whether their facility or the kind of game that they play. And we all know each other very well because we play each other so often. So conference games take on a whole new life, and it's going to be a good race all the way through. And our goals are pretty simple. We want to win the conference tournament, and so the first step to that is to get into the conference tournament. So as long as we finish in the top 6, then we have a chance in the postseason to get into the NCAA tournament, which is ultimately what we want to do. But you can't win the tournament if you're not in it. So we've got to try and find some points along the way, and hopefully we can get up to around 12 points. You get 3 for a win, because I think that'll get you comfortably in the top 6, and then see how it goes from there.